Welcome to All Right in Sin City, a podcast about writers and writing in the Windsor-Detroit region. Your podcasters today are
Irene Moore Davis, author, educator, and local historian.
Sarah Jarvis, former bookseller, publishing rep, and literary festival chair.
and me, Kim Conklin, Windsor-based writer and filmmaker.
This recording takes place from our own homes. We are safely physical distancing and recording this episode for you from our respective devices. Thank you for joining us from your home or daily walk. Our featured guest this episode is Laurie Smith. Laurie Smith is a graduate of the Creative Writing Program at Masters from the University of Windsor. She has been publishing for over 30 years, as well as editing the work of others and facilitating workshops. She is the co-publisher and editor of Cranberry Tree Press in Windsor. Laurie's work has appeared in many publications across Canada and in the US. Collections include Menagerie, The Truth About Roller Skating, Smack in the Middle of Spotlit Obvious, and Said the Cannibal with Urban Farmhouse Press. In addition, she recently edited By the River, a literary anthology featuring Windsor writers. She has earned several writing prizes. She's a two-time winner of the Mayor's Award of Excellence in the Arts here in Windsor for literary endeavors and presence in the community. She's working on new poetry manuscripts, and her latest work to be released April 2nd, 2020, is Suck and Spit in collaboration with the Publishing Practicum program at the University of Windsor and published by Black Moss Press. Welcome, Laurie Smith.
Hi, thanks for doing this and getting me through this.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. We're all experiencing new things right now, and we're just very glad to have you with us. So you've been writing poetry for a very long time. What got you interested and started with writing poetry? Did you start with another genre perhaps, or was it always poetry?
I think like most kids, I was raised on nursery rhymes, and that just inspired me, I guess. I can do that. Started writing as a child in school, and had my first poem actually published when I was 10 years old. And teachers along the way always encouraged me because my writing skills were kind of up there. And I don't remember not writing.
Windsor has a very supportive literary community, but we're also kind of small. What has been the most challenging issue for you in terms of carving out time and resources for your writing?
There's no issue in time, really, that's not as a result of my own laziness or shiny object syndrome. Something else comes along and I'd rather be out in the garden or something. Resources wise, I thought about this question. I think the only thing really is a lot of submissions, contest things require reading fees or entry fees and stuff like that. So resource wise, that's not a game that I play a lot. But what resources do I need? A pen and a napkin, and then transfer it to my computer, you know? As long as I don't run out of toner and I pay the Cogeco bill, I'm good. Material is being created, yeah.
That's a very interesting point about admission fees for poetry contests.
Reading fees and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, a lot of poets go that route, and it's just, but you've achieved something without that. So it's an interesting...
Not without Sarah. I have done that, and I have won a lot of contests that way. But
okay.
If you concentrate on that, that can be costly. You know, you could be spending a couple $100 a month easily. But the thing is, my understanding of the way it works, and I'm not even going to say the name of a literary magazine, but say there's a literary magazine. They run a poetry contest, and with your entry fee, $25, $30, you get a year subscription. This bolsters their subscription list, which enables them to say, okay, we've got X number of people who are subscribers, and it helps them achieve the status they need to go for grants. So everybody's helping everybody else in that regard, but you're still buying lottery tickets, essentially. It's still a crapshoot. You know,
That's a very interesting aspect.
In those cases, yeah, you'll get a subscription, but frankly, who needs 37 poetry magazine subscriptions coming in every month? So yeah, I don't do a lot of that.
You stated that two of your previously published collections are grounded in the experience of growing up in suburbia and in this region. Can you expand on how that goes through your work, or how that's influenced your work a little bit? Can you talk about that?
I think every poet starts with I and me and my personal experience and the write what you know thing. And I had to get it out of my system. I finished up with all the soul and essence stuff back when I was in my 20s, and started to try to look outward. Naturally, you do write about your day-to-day experiences and observations, and dreams, as a matter of fact. And if my day-to-day experiences and my nightly dreams include images that are familiar, it'll work into the poetry. But what I also encourage students is don't stick there. Go beyond your own walls and boundaries, and open it up to other subjects, other places. I've always said I really don't have much of an imagination at all, but and that's why I don't write sci-fi or fantasy stuff. I can't envision fake places. I write what I see, but with my interpretation.
I'm going to quote you here. You've said that poetry in general is narrative and has been praised as accessible, whether it's dark or amusing in tone. Subject matter is often personal yet universal, as you consider empathy and reflection of the human experience the task of the poet. Do you find that these credos play a role in your work as a writing shop facilitator as well?
Well, what you didn't include was the first couple of words of that quote. And my poetry, I'm not describing all poetry in general. That was in response to a question about how I see my own work. Okay, so as narrative, as accessible, that's something that is important to me. I do want to tell stories. I do want to philosophize and teach and lead and whatever. But I do also want it to be in such a way that it is artistic, creative, unique, and very much my own voice, but it's not terribly cloaked in metaphor or find the clue games, you know. I want to be as plain spoken in my writing as I can be, yet be creative and original with the language. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
Oh, there was another part to your question, though. Yes.
Yeah, about your
yes,
workshops.
That's kind
Tell
of,
us about your workshops.
Well, I'm not having any right now, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Until I learn how to do this better, it could be something. Last couple of years, I've been having something called the Sangria Poetry Garden Workshop Series, or in the winter, we just, whatever is in the fridge, cold, and we sit around the living room. But small groups, dedicated writers. I have in the past worked with early stage writers, certainly, but for these couple of series I've been doing the last couple of years, I've been concentrating on working with poets specifically, as opposed to genre writers, and with those who are maybe not thinking of it so much as just a hobby. it's more people who have serious intent and have some experience, in that way they can feed off each other, and there's that equilibrium and respect, and cheers, drinking. Food, they've been bringing food lately. Kind of cool. So I hope I can get a workshop going. If we can open up by May, June, and get a small group going here again, but time will tell, right? Gotta play it by ear.
Just as a follow-up, is community an important part of your own creative process?
How do you mean, Kim?
Well, just you talk about the workshops, but when you talk about them, it sounds as if you gain some sort of inspiration or something from them. Yeah,
absolutely, I do. When I'm teaching, and Irene has experience with this, I start, my hands start flying around. I get really excited when I come across a point, because in my experience, there's so much I know and have internalized, but it's not written in stone, and it's not a point that's physically being made to me or taught. It's something I've acquired, and when I verbalize it, that's exciting to me. And I keep saying, okay, that's rule number 24, that's rule number 32. Now I got to write that one down, because they're little pointers that I come across that just kind of make sense. Like once I had somebody writing an autobiography, and they want to start with, I was born on day 1923 or whatever, and then I did this, and this, and we're not here yet. And I kind of said, you don't have to take all of your baggage on every trip. The point of this particular story was you wanted to tell something about this event that turned your life around in 1963. We don't need all of that. It's like when you turn on the television an episode of CSI or something, you already know who the characters are and what the premise is. You just want that story, and there should be enough in that story that you can pick up any backstory that's relevant to knowing. So that's kind of what I meant when I said you don't have to bring all your baggage on every trip with you. And little things like that were never really taught, but it just comes along as something you recognize. So that, and the discussions we get going are just amazing, and we go off the boards on what we talk about. One thing leads to another. It ends up being therapy sessions or anything else too, and that inspires. I mean, I also give little assignments just as just for fun and to tweak interest, and I'm a big advocate of research for writing. Try to get people to get beyond just writing about their own backyard and the sparrows on the wire, So I will do an exercise on, write about 10 different birds this week. No sparrows, no robins. Look it up. Use some other language, just to, to move everybody beyond what they're probably just going to do because that's the first thing. I want people to, open it up and make their writing bigger. Okay.
Laurie, tell us about your work with Cranberry Tree Press.
Lenore Langs and I started this when I was a grad student, and I want to say it's around 1995, as a publishing service, a cooperative publishing service. So yes, people do pay for our expertise and our layout, design, and everything. We don't take everybody who sends their stuff to us. We turn away more people than we accept. And I do most of the editing, especially poetry editing and some fiction. Lenore does a lot of the nonfiction. We've had been putting out maybe 3 to 5 books a year, which just between the two of us and one fellow, David, doing the layout and design was a fair amount of work for us to be doing. Plus, we'd been running poetry anthology contests. So, yeah, since 1995, and hasn't been that active as of late. Many of the listeners will know that Lenore just lost her husband Dick last week, and he's been ill for quite some time. So we've kind of experienced a quiet time lately too. So we'll see what happens, and our hearts go out to Lenore, and I really miss Dick. He was our bean counter for the business.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. He was a
Yeah,
lovely,
yeah,
lovely
and
man.
his favorite. I will always remember him yelling at me, "Cease and desist, cease and desist." And I hate that when he said "cease and desist." You know, spending money or whatever it was I was doing, putting on receptions or something. Cease and desist.
We all miss Dick for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so now of all of the work that you have published, whether as an author of fiction and poetry books, what has made you the proudest?
Okay. Easy, quick answer.
For the listeners, Laurie has grabbed a book.
Laurie has grabbed a book. I don't know if you can see it. It was the Panty Lines Poetry Contest. And I came in third, and it was an international contest. And let me see. It was judged by the guy who wrote "Women Are from Mars" or Venus or wherever people are from, right? And, first prize went to Susan Musgrave. Second prize, Mildred Tremblay. Third prize, me. So coming in for third to Susan Musgrave was really quite cool. But the best thing was being on the front page of the Windsor Star, holding up my red bikini underwear. Color. And my dad called me and said, "We're so proud of you." Like that. We're so proud. So I guess that had to be it. My daughter was most upset because I had actually raided her underwear drawer to the photographer said we needed better stuff and sexier stuff hanging on a line. So Sarah's gonna kill me.
Yeah, you needed an upgrade.
Wow.
Just for listeners as well, Laurie's daughter is also called Sarah. So,
Okay.
Laurie,
Oh, right.
not my underwear.
Yeah.
So I'm scared to ask what your next project is in light of that.
In light of that, the sequel to Said the Cannibal and Suck and Spit. I have a lot of next projects on the go right now. I've got to my right, a whole shelf of binders of manuscripts. And as everybody knows I have been working on the Darwin poems for 20 plus years now. I think I'm almost done. I see the light at the end of that tunnel. So I'd like to pull that together and start shipping that out. There's been some interest expressed in it already. But I've been doing kiddo lit verse, a little bit of that, and I've never really tested the water as far as sending out my children's verse. I should put some effort into that. And I think the big one I'm working on, well, not big, but full collection, is called Naked Dolls at Heidelberg. And it's a feminist collection. It's probably even more harsh and dangerous than Said the Cannibal and Suck and Spit. This one, there are very few happy poems in this collection. It's a very abusive collection of poetry. So
In what way?
Well, the subject matter. I was inspired to put the collection together when I was visiting the Heidelberg Project in Detroit a couple years back and photographed a lot of the images there. There were dolls all over, and most of them were unclothed, and a lot of them were in compromising, vile, dangerous positions. And it just, the contrast between the innocence of the dolls and how exposed they were out in this open air project just really moved me and compelled me to pull together a lot of the feminist writing I had been doing all along, all my life, and just pull it together and see what else do I have that kind of works with that, and then working around a theme, which I love to do. I love to pick a theme and see what needs to be written. Like when I thought of dolls, I was obviously there's the whole Barbie thing and Raggedy Ann and Andy, and you know every doll has a metaphor, like the Bratz dolls, and I did one on the Betsy McCall paper dolls that we used to have from the magazines when I was a kid, and I just found all of these interesting images to explore, and most of them kind of end up coming back to a place that reflects, you know, female experience as false in a lot of ways, pretend in a lot of ways, and cruel in many ways. So yeah, that's a fun one to work on too. Also another one I'm working on because by popular demand is kind of, again, going on the creepy stuff. I'm kind of doing a creepies and crawlies thing. It's all about, you know, things that I don't mind them. I love snakes. So the happy and the fun part and the sexy parts of the books are probably the ones about snakes, right? But you know, centipedes and spideys and stuff like that, and just gross stuff. I like the macabre. I do. It just really plays into my own sense of dark humor, and so these subjects just seem ready to be attacked in poetry. It's not the kind of thing, you know, people, why don't you write happy stuff? Why don't you write about the flowers in the garden? And yeah, people have done that. I want to take the dangerous stuff that we see every day and maybe take for granted, the mundane, and look at it from maybe the dark side. So I don't know if I'm like a horror poet in that regard or what. Maybe I am doing a new genre. I don't know, but I'm just doing it feels good at the time. Yeah, Said the Cannibal.
Well, would you like to read a little bit for us?
Yeah, what do you want to hear? Any requests?
What about your new couple from your new book?
Okay, we'll do a couple from
one that's coming out now. Suck and Spit.
Suck and Spit. Yeah, I'm going to start with a little fun one that will give it, and it's kind of a humorous romantic thing called Relationship Agreement Number 1. And for those of you who are Big Bang Theory fans like I am, you'll get that whole relationship agreement thing. I love you enough to hike in mountains, impale worms on your hook, sleep beside you in a tent, brave the night howlings and nearby rummagings. I love you enough to hand you whatever I must hand you and cover my ears, let you be the man while I trust. Or in the worst case scenario, bind your mauled and broken leg with sticks and pantyhose, suck venom from a snake bite, spit it out like a Saturday matinee hero, and haul you on my back to civilization. But darling, still, there are some things I will not do. So that kind of gives a hint as to where I got the poems or the book's title, Suck and Spit. It goes to the old John Wayne movies where somebody's sleeping with their head on a rock and you hear the maracas sound effects rattling of snake in the background, and obviously the snake is in the guy's boot, his friend's boot, and he gets bitten. Somebody's got to cut it open and get rid of the venom. So that kind of, just because it's a little naughty too, I like the title, and I don't mind a little controversy. I had to fight for my title, but I got it. I had a couple marked that I thought, this is the first poem in the collection, and it kind of puts me in context of the work. Herb gardening. You can be sure the poisoners were not poets. Rest easy. Their success depended on discretion. They were the quiet ones, the least suspicious, going about their business, hanging laundry, putting up fruit preserves, a loaf of bread cooling on the counter. Their gardens were well kept, bright flowers, butterflies, fresh produce, herbs. Self-sufficient, creative, they seemed popular. Visitors came and went. So no, they really had better things to do than write poetry. So, that's one of the gentler ones. There's some funny stuff. There's, I had to address, as I kind of always do in these, when I do these thematic collections, I kind of go through the canon of what is known by the general public, what's in pop culture, current events, or history, and I check out all those resources. So there were several topics in this that they were must-dos, like Jonestown Massacre, and the obvious historical ones. Where is she? There's one a section called the Femme Fatale, and about women. And it's not always about women. It's not all women poisoners in this book either. Never mind her. Anyway, yeah, it's about Lucretia Borgia, because everyone, yeah, it's in here somewhere. There's a little white paper on it. Instead, I'm going to read this one, which is it's kind of funny, I think. It's called "Wasn't Her Name Queen Melania?" A cliche, really. Lavish banquet table, everyone dressed to the nines, the arrogant host getting a little toasted, sideways glances of his disenchanted wife, a close-up of the pretty new amulet hanging at her cleavage. And then the choker. Wine dribbles from his smirking mouth. His eyes widen. He clutches his throat, drops the goblet, keels over, either behind the head table or has the last twitch ability to ride as far as the dance floor, director's choice. But there, the anguished grimacing, foaming mouth and snotty tears. There, in full view, the shameful puddle, quick cut to astonished queen. The final feeble kick of right leg and glazing over of the eyes. Yes, a cliche. But won't we all admit we cheered when Joffrey died?
That's
Awesome.
was satisfying.
I thought so.
Yes, that was satisfying when that happened. Yes.
Laurie Smith, we can't wait to read the new book, and we want to wish you the best of luck with your new collection. We're really looking forward to it.
I am just so sorry that we didn't get to have the big Rockstar Moment book launch that was supposed to be next week. Hopefully, we're looking at another date later in the summer, and I got a whole lot of people there because I have so much fun reading these things and doing the unexpected. What I like, when I said earlier about narrative poetry, I like for my own writing for it to be entertaining. Too old to be a rock star, I'll tell Mick Jagger, but I'd like to be a rock star poet, the kind that releases singles maybe on YouTube or whatever, has a million seller or whatever, because people enjoy and get it. And whenever I hear people say, "Oh yes, but I don't know, you're a poet, fine, and I don't like poetry," and I say, "Do you not like music? Do you not like birds? Do you not like cars?" You can't generalize like that. You have to find that kind of bird or that type of car that works for you, or the kind of music that you can relate to. So I like to, that's where accessible comes in. I like to challenge people. I like to teach. I like to make them have to look up a word or two, because I've had people say, "Oh, I don't want to read it, I don't understand the words." Well, if you just want to read things with words you understand, you would have stopped at Dr. Seuss, right? That's what reading is all about. That's why reading is so important, and reading things that are a little outside your norm and challenging yourself. I like to challenge people with my poetry, yet I like to make them laugh, and then I like to hit them with, a Jeffrey Dahmer poem or a Lucretia Borgia poem or something really wicked, that makes them kind of go, whoa. And in this one with Suck and Spit, it's not that. It's there's a lot of environmental stuff too, because in the poisoning of the world. And as I'm reading some things in here, Okay, it's very timely. So, and it's timely that we had to do it this way. So it's all coming together very nicely. Thanks for having me.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
for coming.
Being here.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. Look for more episodes of All Right in Sin City wherever you listen to podcasts, or check out our website, allrightinsincity.com. For information and announcements of new podcasts, sign up to our email list or follow us on Facebook and Twitter.